Shalom Aleichem. I wanted to just review a few laws of Letziyon that maybe you know, that maybe you don't know. It's one of those things that if you don't actually, just reading through the Shulchan Aruch, you discover a lot of new things. So Letziyon is that prayer that we say at the end of davening. And the Shulchan Aruch writes in Kuf Lamed Ved 132, Tzarich lizayer mo ma'od l'omer b'kavanah. You have to be careful to say it with kavanah. That itself is already a huge chiddush. Usually people just rush through at the end of davening. They say it really fast. But no, you have to say Letziyon with a lot of intention. You got to learn what it means. If you don't know what it means, I guess you could do it in English. That's complex because there is dafka. There is specifically an advantage of doing it in the Aramaic. So the best would be if you can learn what it actually means. Anyway, you got to say it with kavanah. Now, why do you want? You're going to say it with kavanah? You're going to say everything with kavanah, but this specific prayer, the Gemara says, from the day the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, the Mishneh Berurah writes, Al Makaya Kedusha Desidra. The whole world stands on these sanctification of Hashem's name that we do in Letziyon. Similar to the Kedusha in Davin, in Amidah, and there's also Kedusha before Amidah and Birchas Kriyat Shema. So we have three Kedushas, and this one's also important. One before, one during, one after the Shemona Esrei. So what exactly that means and why it's holding up the whole world, honestly, I don't really know, but I trust the Gemara, and therefore you should try to say it with a lot of kavanah. So that's thing number one, say it with kavanah. Thing number two that you may not have known is that there's a question about whether you can say it out loud without a tzibor, because it might be a dover shebedusha. In the end of the day, we'd say you can say it even without a tzibor, which often happens if you're trailing behind the chazan, as I am. But you shouldn't say it loudly. That's what the Rema points out. You say it quietly. So that's another good thing to know. Third thing you might not have known about Letziyon is that there's psukim in Letziyon, and those are not just coincidental. We want to start off our day with words of Torah, words of chizuk, beautiful songs. Many songs you could sing. In some yeshivas they do sing those songs, but that's also a big part of Letziyon, to make sure we start off our day being machazik our emuna with these pisukim. A fourth thing you might not have known is that if you're, let's say, about to start Ashrei, and then the chazan gets up to the kadosh, 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 you should actually skip to say it with the chazan and then say Ashrei afterwards, because it's that important to say kadosh, kadosh, and brach kvod with the tzibor, ideally. It's not so important that you should skip if you're in, let's say, Tachanan. You don't want to disconnect between Amidah and Tachanan. But if nothing else is holding you back and you can get to say it with the tzibor, it's better to stay the kadosh, kadosh, baruch kvod, and yimloch Hashem holy psukim avu Letziyon with the tzibor. Okay, what else? Aser la'adam, writes the Shulchan Aruch, it's forbidden. Before you do these holy sanctifications in Letziyon, the Mishneh Berurah does note, except if it's shatat chak. So if you're really going to miss the train to get to work, then you can. But in general, sometimes it's a really challenging halacha. You should try not to leave before the kedusha desidra in Letziyon. Okay. Also, you don't have to sing the verses of kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. Say it with a niggin of Aleinu, even though the other the other time we sing kadosh, kadosh in Birchas Kriyat Shema, there is an idea of laning it with a niggin, but here we're not makpid, right? Modern Rishonim. Okay. The next thing you should know is that Aleinu should be said standing, and mizer ma'od b'kavanah. The Rema writes, say with a lot of kavanah. When you get up to the word v'anachnu korim, you should stop and then bow, because we're actually bowing. And there's a Kaddish Yatom after Aleinu. The Mishneh Berurah writes that you should say Aleinu be'ema uv'yira, with trembling and fear. Ki kol tzva hashamayim shomim. All of the heavenly stars are listening. V'akadosh baruch hu omed im pamalya shamal, and Hashem is standing there listening with all the angels in the heavens. And they're all saying, wow, praiseworthy of the nation that end tefillah with this beautiful Aleinu tefillah. According to tradition, it was enacted by Yeshua ben Nun at the time when the Jewish people are conquering the land of Israel. It's a gorgeous tefillah. Reminds us of our purpose in life to Mekadosh Shem Shemayim and light the world with godliness, and it's a great way to end our tefillah. So those are some halachas that you may have known and you may not have known in Siman Kuflav Amabet Halachos Tefillah. Can't wait to come at you with more fascinating halacha. There's Hashem in 2 days. We'll switch off. We'll do halacha one day and parsha and stories the next. Have a great day.